season finale this afternoon. The Broncos hosting the San Diego Chargers, and a huge game for the Broncos. A win guarantees them home field for next week's playoff matchup against Jacksonville. They'll have to go, though, without their all-everything running back, Terrell Davis. The shoulder injury has him down for today. Vaughn Hebron will start in his place. And hello, everyone. Along with James Lofton, I'm Mike Breen. Obviously, Davis in that situation, tough for Mike Shanahan, but he has other problems to worry about. It was just a couple of months ago, people were saying, who are the Broncos going to play in the Super Bowl? Now they're saying they don't have a chance at the Super Bowl. This because they've lost 3 of 5 and have dropped their last 2.
And I think drop is the operative word there. If you count them against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mike Shanahan did 11 drop passes by his receivers. Didn't get a lot better last week against the 49ers. John Elway not only threw an interception that got run back for a touchdown, he fumbled, and that goes in for a touchdown. Very unlike John Elway.
Now, even without Davis, they're heavily favored today. The San Diego Chargers have had a very rough season. Obviously, injuries have played a major part in that, but everyone has injuries. They've lost 7 in a row, and this is a team that just 3 years ago was in the Super Bowl.
And also a team that was 8-8 last year. And I think it gets down to personnel, and right there you're going to have to question whether Bobby Beathard has been getting the job done for this team. He has a penance for trading his first-round pick. The only guy who's left is Junior Seau. The other guys have gotten rid of. Darren Gordon is actually going to start for the Denver Broncos today, and every other pick he trades. If he trades the number 3 pick next year, when he's on that surfboard, they're going to send Jaws after him.
A very tough year for Kevin Gilbride in his first year as head coach. We'll have the opening kickoff coming up in just a couple of moments.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel. Let's quickly get you caught up on this.
Sun has been out. Just a gorgeous day. And Vaughn Hebron getting his chance. This will be his first start since 1994 when he was with the Eagles. As he gets the call without Terrell Davis, Jason Elam will kick off as the Chargers won the toss and will receive. Kenny Bynum on the left. Former Bronco Aaron Craver on the right. Broncos at 11-3. But as we mentioned, in a little bit of a rut right now, and their confidence could be perhaps a bit down. With this crowd something ready. Bynum breaks one tackle across the 20, knocked out of bounds at the 22. Tim McKyer makes the tackle. And Craig Willihan with his 7th start. He's 0 for 6 thus far as a starter. And the offensive line, they have struggled all season. Then Bordelon, the rookie, getting another start at right guard. Brown needs 82 yards per 1,000, and for that bonus to kick in, where he'll get an additional $200,000. Craver, as we mentioned, the former Bronco. Martin, still the wide receivers. Frank Hartley is the tight end. And a player down on the kickoff. Of course, injuries have been a part of both teams. As we mentioned, San Diego has been devastated by injuries all season. For the Broncos, Terrell Davis out today with his shoulder injury. Tim McKyer, after making that tackle, shaken up. Let's take a peek at what happened on the kickoff. An old man falling on him.
You see his own man roll up the back of his leg. You think about the Denver Broncos, and we talked about, the star running back being out, Terrell Davis today. This is the team that has not been hit hard by the injury bug. They have had most of their guys become constants throughout the year. Mark Solrath, their left guard, is the only guy who they've been really missing. They'll get him along with Terrell Davis right there back for next week's ball game. So they have been healthy. Tim McKyer seems to be walking off under his own power now, or most of his own power. So he'll be back in the lineup.
Of course, the Davis injury could be a big problem for him if it stays with him. You talked to him before the game. How severe did he feel it was?
Well, he realizes that he's hurt. It's an injury that he had when he was in college. He separated that shoulder. He had surgery on it. Even had some of the bone shaved down so that when he went to dislocate it later, that it wouldn't pop through. Because once you dislocate a shoulder, it has a tendency to pop in and out. Well, that bone has been shaved down, so it doesn't pop out anymore. And right now, it is the question of whether or not he can handle the pain. And Mike Shanahan said, if he's not 100%, I won't play him today. He's not 100% this week. I said, well, how about next week if he's not 100%? He said, he'll definitely play next week. I don't care if he's 60%, he'll play.
Smart move, I think, keeping him out this week. They'll still probably win the AFC rushing crown, but will not reach 2,000. Something that was certainly within his reach before last week. Chargers start at their own 22. Complete to Martin. No, they say he was out of bounds. Ray Crockett right there to defend. And a 2nd and 10 coming up. The Denver defense up front. Smith, Trailer, Donalasa, and Williams. Mobley wrapping up a superb second-year linebacker. Ulrich and Romanowski, who's been the cause of a very busy week for a lot of people because of his spitting incident. Crockett and Gordon are the corners. Braxton and Atwater at the safeties. Gary Brown. Brown breaks some tackles and gets up to about the 28-yard line, where he's taken down by Tyrone Braxton. And, of course, Brown, a big story for the Chargers. Really not much else for them to think about today. But Brown, who was out of football last year, signed in his contract. If he gained 1,000 yards on the year, he would get $1 million bonus. Now, it goes in supplements, so he's up where he's already received $800,000. But if he gets to the 1,000, he'll get that additional $200,000.
And he doesn't get the check until next month. So he's going to get one big lump sum. And he'd much rather see 6 zeros on there than 5 zeros.
He told us yesterday, I think I can get 82 yards. Wheelan across the middle of Martin. First down across the 40, and Martin slides up to about the 45-yard line. Darius Johnson right there. But a first down for the Charger offense.
One of the things that you want to do with Kevin Gilbride's offense, you bring someone in motion, all of a sudden no one knows who's supposed to be picked up. It's man-to-man coverage. You let a guy go inside because you think you have the outside receiver, you get a wide-open receiver like Tony Martin was.
They spotted at the 44. Wheelan goes downfield for Martin. He's open. But Wheelan overthrows him. Crockett was a step behind.
You know, everyone will look at that ball and they'll say, well, Wheelan needs to hit him. He's wide open. But when you're picking yourself up off the ground after you throw, it's that one instant that you need to be able to throw that ball. And Neil Smith, you know, everyone has said, well, he doesn't have the sacks that he had before. Maybe he's not the player he was. He shouldn't be going to the Pro Bowl. He's the one who put Wheelan on his butt.
Some people think Keith Trailer perhaps goes to the Pro Bowl from this Bronco defense. Brown gets the pitch. Crockett hits him at about the 47-yard line. Pickup of about 3. So a 3rd and long coming up. A 3rd and 7. Or a long 6.
And when we talk to Kevin Gilbride about his quarterback situation, obviously Stan Humphries has been knocked out for the year. Jim Everett has been knocked out for the year. And Wheelan was the guy who was just supposed to hold the clipboard and watch things. Well, he's getting some experience under fire, and Wheelan tells you, you know, this is a dream come true for me to play quarterback.
4 wide receivers in now for the Chargers. Wheelan nearly picked off. Crockett almost had an interception. The intended receiver was Martin.
Yeah, but there's no way Tony Martin can stop on that route. He's running a slant pattern. He's supposed to continue his route inside, and you see him stop his feet. You know, he's thinking, hit me right here and I'm open. But when you run that route in practice, you come in there flying 100 miles an hour. All of a sudden, you get these big guys in these blue uniforms, and maybe it's Steve Atwater or Tyrone Braxton inside. They make receivers slow down.
Bennett with a nice high kick. There at the 5, Laterio Rochelle, who's excelled on special teams. And that's where they'll take over at the 5-yard line. So a perfect punt from Darren Bennett. Got some help as well. 47-yarder, no return. And the Denver Broncos the offensive line with Zimmerman, Diaz, and Fonte, nailing the Pro Bowler, Habib, and Tony Jones, who was banged up last week. Hebron will start again. His first start since '94. Griffith, the fullback. Smith, who's had the drop problem recently. McCaffrey, and Shannon Sharp, the tight end.
And Vaughn Hebron only needs 1,825 yards to get to 2,000.
They're spotted just shy of the 6. McCaffrey in motion. Elway, plenty of time, complete. Up to about the 9-yard line. Shannon Sharp with his first reception. A little push on the tackle. The Charger defense right now, the front four. There's not enough pressure on the quarterback this year. Fuller, the former Pro Bowler, Varela, Lee, and Coleman. Sayoff playing with the injured knee. You did not expect him to sit despite the severity of the knee injury. Bush and Sapp. Bradford, the rookie, at one corner. Harrison having a terrific year at safety. 3-yard pickup, 2nd and 7. Elway, under a little pressure, he's hit. And tries to throw it out of bounds. And a late flag comes in from Jerry Markbright.
Yeah, obviously that's intentional grounding. I mean, he's in the grasp of the defender and then tries to get rid of the ball. Markbright is putting his safety. I thought that Elway actually threw that ball from about his own 1-yard line.
Intentional grounding in the end zone, resulting in a safety.
Rodney Harrison with the pressure. And the 2 points for San Diego. Markbright appeared maybe to think about it a little bit before he made the call, James.
Well, you have to wonder if Terrell Davis is playing in the game. Do you try and pass the first 2 times you have the ball coming out on their own 6-yard line? And you see, obviously, you have to throw the ball within these 2 lanes. Now, he's definitely inside the pocket. There's no question about that. But he's also not in the end zone. That's the thing that I'm just befuddled about. He threw that ball from the 2-yard line.
Let's take another look.
I mean, there's the goal line. John Elway goes back, and he's on the 2-yard line.
That is a bad call.
That is a very bad call.
So Elway.
Now, the only explanation that Markbright could possibly give to Mike Shanahan is that if he threw that ball backwards, and it goes backwards out the end zone, but that ball went forward, so it was a forward pass, not a lateral.
Those who are watching the Colts and the Vikings as the Vikings get their 9th win of the season. Big win at home over the Colts. John Elway just been called for a safety intentional grounding. What was ruled as he was in the end zone, but as we saw on replays, Elway was not in the end zone when he released the football.
And my biggest question is still, you start your drive on the 6-yard line. You have a healthy Terrell Davis. You then pound the defense. They go to the pass twice. We obviously see that he's not in the end zone. I mean, it's a call that will befuddle me. Jerry Seaman will have to review this. Markbright will get a demerit for this missed call. I mean, there's no excuse for not being able to know where a guy is on the field.
Of course, after he was sacked, he went back into the end zone. Markbright, one of the best officials in the NFL, been a referee a long time.
There's a correction on the play. It is intentional grounding. The ball was thrown from the 2-yard line. No safety.
Now, how did they arrive at that?
Yeah, I don't know who they consulted for it, because if they talk to Mike Shanahan, he's going to say, yeah, we threw the ball from the field of play. You talk to Kevin Gilbride, oh, he was clearly in the end zone from his standpoint. I don't know if they're watching the replay board, if they consulted with other officials on the field.
Is the spot of the pass. The down counts, it'll be second down on the 2-yard line.
Now, I don't know what process they want about to correct the call, but it's good that it was corrected. You know, maybe they're using the replay board. Maybe they're talking to somebody upstairs. Maybe he has that small transistor television, and he's listening to us, and he figured out, boy, I blew that one.
Well, he's in trouble if he's listening to us, but as you say, regardless of how it's arrived at, it's the right call. And even though Kevin Gilbride sees 2 points taken away, that's what coaches want. They want the right
penalty
call.
Enforcement is the spot of the pass. The pass was thrown from the 2-yard line. So it'll be third down with a loss of down from the 2-yard line.
You know, we also have to go back to how they got in this predicament. Darian Bennett and Latario Rachel. I mean, Rachel does a great job fielding that punt on the 6-yard line to pin them back. They throw the first pass, complete to Shannon Sharp, and that time just good coverage and also excellent pressure by the front from the San Diego Chargers.
And Harrison as well in the backfield, so it'll be 3rd and 14. And we're back to a scoreless game. Elway will go into the shotgun. 3 wide receivers now in for the Broncos. Elway looks to the sideline, intended for Smith, and 4th down. Tom Ruin will come on. Elway feeling a little pressure on a couple of plays.
Yeah, and you throw 3 times coming out from your own territory. I mean, obviously, John Elway is the person who now has to carry this team with Terrell Davis out. Go back, you throw the ball, but consequently, your linemen have to then protect. You know, they've been in that run blocking mode for most of the season. Terrell Davis, 1,750 yards. Now they have to switch over and say, we have to protect John Elway even more than normal.
This game features 2 of the very best punt returners in the NFL, Darian Gordon and, of course, Eric Metcalf for the Chargers, who was in Denver territory at the 48. And the clock winds down. Go ahead, Dave.
Offense. Half the distance to the goal. 4th down.
So the movement back to the 1. Ruin already with his back right against the edge of the end zone. Ruin has not had a punt block here in 97. He's had 2 blocked in his career. Takes it off. It's a nice kick. Metcalf backtracks the 44. Gets away from 1 and taken down at the 45. Mobley with the tackle. Great punt coverage that time from Denver. A 56-yard punt for Ruin as the Chargers will take over.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Budweiser Beechwood Aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. By Honda, vehicles designed to help simplify your life. By MasterCard, there are some things in life money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And by DVD Video from Philips Magnavox, technology for the heart, the spirit, and the imagination.
John Mobley, not only a great linebacker, but made that special teams tackle. As the Chargers will start now at their own 45. 3 wide receivers as Metcalf comes in. And off Gary Brown. Brown breaks the tackle. Mobley trips him up at midfield as Brown gets into Bronco territory. Pickup of about 5.
You have to possibly wonder about the mental preparation of the Denver Broncos this week. We mentioned that they had 2-team meetings to kind of smooth over the Bill Romanowski incident. And instead of concentrating on football, you know, they're dealing with that. They're also thinking, next week we play Jacksonville. Well, we know that, but where will we play them? So it's pretty hard to focus on the San Diego Chargers.
Looks to have the playoff spot secured, but not where they'll play. Brown catches it out of the backfield, breaks the tackle, has the first down, and Gary Brown gets down to the 41-yard line. Mobley right there to help stop him. But he broke a few, and Gary Brown a little energetic, although that's not a surprise with what's on the line for him today.
Yeah, but I think despite the Chargers' record, and we've seen it from the Indianapolis Colts the last few weeks, I mean, they played inspired football. Everyone thought that they were dead. Sure, they're coming in here at 4-11, but if you give them that breath of life, they can be very dangerous.
They've dropped 7 straight. Brown the handoff. And maybe 2 yards. Aldridge makes the tackle. And you mentioned, of course, the Romanowski incident, and that has been talked about not only here in Denver, but all across the country. We said this earlier on the pregame. To me, it was refreshing to see that his teammates didn't take the stand of, well, he's my teammate, I'll support him with whatever he did. They blasted him, and rightfully so, for his despicable act.
And I think that Bill Romanowski didn't realize what he had done until he got back home Tuesday morning and started listening to talk radio and started hearing the reports on television.
Brown stopped at the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard. Neil Smith hit him right away. And a 3rd and perhaps 6 coming up now for San Diego. Wheelahan is their quarterback, of course. Let's take a look at Smith on the play.
And they're playing some extra bodies in there, along with Neil Smith. You know, they also have Trevor Price, the rookie, in there. He's getting some time. Harold Hasselbeck. So they're really trying to find that combination up front. This past week, they let Michael Dean Perry go, a guy who was in the Pro Bowl for them last year. 3rd and 5. Wheelahan has a little room, and he leaps very close to the first down. It depends on where they spot it. Mobley came to greet him. Wheelahan, who goes about 6'6", needed every inch on that one. About 6'6" and about 150 pounds. I told him he's got to be the skinniest player in the NFL. But he did a great job there after he pulled the ball down. He kind of gave Mobley a head fake and got him to think he was going to his right, ducked back, and then dove to his left.
He is what, in my childhood, they used to call a skinny Paling.
And, you know, we talked, he said, you know, I'm having a hard time keeping the weight on. When I came to training camp, about 212 pounds. Now I'm hovering right around 201, 202. It used to be when I was the 3rd string guy, I could come in Monday morning, they have the first down. I could come in Monday morning and lift weights. Now I take a beating, and I'm sore Monday morning. Saw the little head fake there. He needs to tuck that ball in, but he really extends well. And if he's a 6-foot quarterback, he doesn't make it there.
Needed every inch there, although he did get a nice spot. But a first down now at the Denver 31-yard line. Wheelahan, again, going on with Humphreys and Everett with injuries. He started, this is 7th game, is yet to win as a starter. Gary Brown hit hard by Mobley, and Brown manages a couple.
Did it almost look like Wheelahan and Brown missed the handoff there?
It seemed like it was almost a broken play, absolutely.
I mean, you know, Gary Brown probably has the option to run wherever he wants behind that line of scrimmage. See the Jacksonville score there, Jacksonville's up. With the option to run wherever you want, and you're looking at the defense. You're not paying attention to the quarterback. His job is to get you a ball, and Gary Brown's job is to run wherever he sees daylight.
The 2 tight ends are split out wide on each side on 2nd and 7. Screen play to Brown. And Brown gets down to about the 21, very close to another first down. Alan Aldridge brings him down. But the Charger offense moving it. You talk to Kevin Gilbride, he says Wheelahan's had some series where he looks outstanding. It's just there's no consistency with him yet.
And the little things here. When you run a screen pass, you have to draw the guys to you. And Wheelahan does a good job in continuing to drop back. Trevor Price is right in his face. Dump the ball off the ground.
Is an eligible receiver. 69 is eligible.
So Ben Bordelon, the rookie, the eligible receiver. Brown, the lone setback. A couple. Ray Crockett quickly comes up to help in on the stop, along with Aldridge.
You know, much has been documented about Gary Brown's weight gain, and he lists himself at 5'11", and he's really about 5'9 and a half. So when he ballooned up to 265, 70 pounds, that's a lot of weight on a small frame. He says he's down near 220 right now. I'm going to take a month off after the season is over, and I'm going to start working out because, you know, I realize how vital this game is to my life now.
He takes his play off. Kenny Bynum, the rookie, is in the game. Bynum gets the call. Bynum cuts inside, and he's down to about the 13-yard line. Bynum, the 5th-round pick out of South Carolina State. The coaching staff and Bobby Beathard, they really like his ability. He just hasn't had a real opportunity to show it so far this year, but he's getting it last week a bit and some today.
And this is a critical series for the Denver Broncos. Not only because it's the second trip that the Chargers have had into their field position, but you start to run out of time. And we're down to almost 5 minutes in the first quarter, and Denver's been on the field for 3 offensive plays.
3rd and 3. Bryant still in motion. And flags on the play. It appeared somebody on the Charger line moved. The false start will be the call on the left side.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 89, offense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Frank Hartley, and this is what's killing. They had 10 penalties last week, James.
Yeah, but, you have to make the excuse. You have dome stadiums where it's very loud. This has got to be the loudest outdoor arena to play in. The fans are right on top of you. The stadium goes straight up. And very well-educated fans, they know when to make noise. You can hear the volume go. You can hear it go up as the Chargers approach the line of scrimmage.
Now instead of a 3rd and short, they have 3rd and 8. Big rush. Willian gets rid of it. And Martin with the catch for the first down at the 10-yard line. Ray Crockett was all over, but Martin made a tough catch. And San Diego another first down.
There has to be a coordination between the pass rush and the defensive coverage. Look at Ray Crockett. He's laying off. He's at the 10-yard line, which is exactly where the Chargers need to go for the first down. He has to come up closer to the line of scrimmage and force the hand of Tony Martin.
Crockett has had a terrific year. They've thrown his way a lot. Gary Brown back in. And Brown dives to about the 8-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal. Trevor Price on the tackle along with Mobley.
And this is very much a makeshift line for the San Diego Chargers. They don't have the guys that they thought they'd have up front, but they've had to plug in some guys. Ben Borlon, the rookie from LSU, he's getting some extended playing time. Tony Birdie, guys who are having to prove themselves under fire.
Whelahan, incomplete. Dangerous pass. Gary Brown coming out of the backfield, but there are a lot of Bronco jerseys in the vicinity.
If you're going to play a team that is leading the league in sacks, that really gets after the quarterback, then a middle screen is something that you can do because all those guys are charging hard up the field. You watch the Denver Broncos here, these guys, they don't get the penetration. Number one, Trevor Price slips down, so he ends up almost jumbled up in the play. You see Neil Smith, he's still at the line of scrimmage. So a veteran guy like Neil Smith is able to read that fake screen block from the tackle.
Whelahan, incomplete. Crockett that time defends it perfectly. Martin was the intended receiver. Now Ray Crockett with a big play and 4th down coming up.
And sometimes the difference between being 11-4 and 4-11 is not getting the call. I mean, he is draped on him. Easily a flag could have been thrown there.
Martin looking to see if any flag was coming around. But that is not the case. Greg Davis is on for the kick. 26-yarder for Davis. And the Chargers get on the board first. A long drive for San Diego. Davis puts it on the board. 3.5 remaining. Here in the first quarter from Denver.
The network of the Super Bowl. You're watching the NFL on NBC.
Thank you, quarterback Ray Crockett with a big play. San Diego forced to go for the field goal, which they completed successfully from that man who is now on to kick off. Devon Everett. Double duty today for Everett, returning to kicks. And starting in the backfield in place of the injured Terrell Davis. Short kick. Everett at the 10. Everett has some room. Trying to get outside. Everett down the sidelines, run out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Dorian Brew finally ran him out. But a 31-yard return for Everett. Mile Stadium, where I think he's dressed inappropriately. It's too warm.
No, he planned that outfit weeks ago in anticipation. Is he thinking helium in there? Is that what he's doing? He's getting that squeaky voice to go along with that fox head.
I think he should be arrested. They'll start at the 40 on Everett's nice return. Everett in the backfield as well. Denver with their second possession of the game. Everett kicks back. There goes Everett. Breaks tackles all the way down to the 43-yard line. Beautiful run from Vaughn Everett. Finally brought down by Terrence Shaw.
Same hole that Terrell Davis would get to run through. Terrell Davis, the thing we've heard is one cut and straight up the field. Now, Terrell Davis might have gone directly up the hash. Von Hebron is more of a cutback, slashing runner, and Junior Seau is out there playing on one leg. You know, he could probably not push off of that good leg, and they just racked him to the ground there.
17-yard pickup for Hebron who goes in motion. Elway to McCaffrey, and McCaffrey catches it close to another first down. Lou Bush makes the tackle. McCaffrey with his 42nd reception of the season.
I talked to Mike Shanahan this past week, and I said, will you do things differently this ball game? Will you try and show some wrinkles that you might want to fake Jacksonville out with next week? He said, we are so unpredictable on offense. There's no trend or pattern to what we do. So many different formations and personnel groups. We just run our regular package.
A confident Mike Shanahan. 2nd and 1. Hebron gets the call again. This time can't go anywhere. Chase to William Fuller. Finally brings him down. Check that, Marco Coleman. Charger defense, you know, it's been a tough season overall for the Chargers, but their defense at times has played fairly well, James.
At times, but their biggest problem is that they have been on the field too much. You know, we saw some early sparks by the San Diego Chargers offense, but it hasn't been there on a consistent basis. And these guys are just left out there to wither in the sunlight week after week after week.
3rd and 4. Yes, they even had sunlight this week here in Denver. Elway, complete. Willie Green, and good for a first down at the 25. Green came back nicely to haul that one in. Michael Swift makes the tackle.
I think at some point early in this ball game, you need to work the ball into the hands of Rod Smith because he has been kind of the villain the last couple of weeks. Some drop passes against the Steelers, more drop passes last week. You have to get him untracked. I mean, he spent extra time during pregame warm-ups catching the ball from coaches, catching the ball from quarterbacks, catching the ball from anyone who throws to him.
Elway has some rush here. Scrambles away, looks for Smith, but he's covered tightly by Shaw, and Elway throws it out of bounds. First, last week we saw how the Bronco offense really struggled when Davis went out in the second quarter and the injury against the 49ers. And Hebron, as we mentioned, this is his first start since '94. Looking at it as a bit of an opportunity, but he said he didn't prepare any differently than he normally does, and that's kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, well, he had to prepare differently because he was in that pre-production meeting with us. Normally he would have driven home at that time, but now he becomes a star. He's in the focal point.
2nd and 10. Elway goes for the end zone for McCaffrey and overthrows Paul Bradford right there on the coverage. The rookie who had a couple of pass interference calls last week against him. Goes right with McCaffrey on that play.
Yeah, but, you know, the San Diego Chargers have thrown caution to the wind. They bring Seau and Lou Bush. They put enough pressure on John Elway where he doesn't have that extra second to really drop that ball in there. And plus good coverage by the rookie Bradford downfield.
3rd and 10. Final half minute of the first quarter. Elway goes in the shotgun. 3 wide receivers. McCaffrey hit at the 16 and dropped down. Very close to the first down. Depends on the spot. Michael Dumas with the big hit.
Yeah, he has the first down. And McCaffrey did a good job catching the ball in his hands. A ball that was, didn't have the velocity that a normal John Elway pass has there. But John was thrown to a spot. He had to release the ball early. Once again, the Chargers are getting early and quick pressure on John Elway.
And that will end the first quarter. And from Mile High Stadium, Broncos needing a win. Jacksonville's leading 14-0. Broncos want home field next week as well.
AT&T, it's all within your reach presents It's My Game.
Okay, forecast for Miami. Torrential rain, poor visibility, and gale force winds for Dan Marino. More sloshing than slashing for Irving Spikes. Hey, when wet, go long. Look for O.J. McDuffie to reach high into the atmosphere, pulling balls out of that tropical depression. The barometer drops, the Dolphins soar. That's it for weather. And now to sports.
Joe Pasquale, the defensive coordinator, like any good headhunter, is attacking the weakness of the Denver Broncos. Not only is Terrell Davis their best runner, but he's probably one of the better backs in picking up the blitz. And Von Hebron probably gives away 25 pounds to Terrell Davis.
Denver, though, now the ball is at 15. Hebron gets the call. And maybe a yard for Hebron. John Perella among those in on the stop. Now San Diego playing loose today. Let's take a look at the numbers. Denver just not with the football all that much. Everything else pretty close. Second and 9 for John Elway. Hebron down to about the 12-yard line. Ball fumbled, but after the whistle, they'll say it's down. Host of Chargers in on that stop, including Perella.
You know, this game really comes down to number 7, and the Denver Broncos have him. The Chargers don't. They've lost Stan Humphries and Jim Everett, guys who are Pro Bowl type guys who've led their teams into the playoffs. And really the onus of this ball club now falls on John Elway. Maybe more so now than ever before. He's without Terrell Davis, all the distractions of the week. The one constant for the Denver Broncos has to be John Elway.
3rd and 6 goes for the end zone for Smith. Did he get it? No, out of bounds. Bradford again right there on the coverage, the rookie. Smith claiming he got pushed out, and now the officials will confirm.
Exactly. There was contact while the ball was in the air, and if that's the case, you should have interference on one guy or the other, but also he gets nudged out of bounds on the catch. You can see it right at the bottom of the screen. You see the right foot come down, and then the left foot is just over the line. But the contact was before the catch. So since they did not call interference, they can't say he was forced out of bounds, because then they would have to admit that once again they were wrong.
That should stand the way they called it. No, they turn it and call it a touchdown. Wow.
And Rodney Harrison, the strong safety, is just beside himself. He had a good look at the play.
The receiver got 2 feet down in the end zone.
No, he
2
didn't.
feet down, touchdown.
Unless that left one is dragging. Was that left one dragging?
It would have to be in the shadows. It's very hard to tell from our angle up here. But I think the thing Rodney Harrison is most mad about, he's watching the play. He's watching Bradford on Smith. And Smith pushed off like a good receiver supposed to. He gets that nudge, and there was a no call.
Elam for the extra point. The key on that was whether or not his left foot dragged. But you couldn't tell on that replay. So a tough call goes against Kevin Gilbride, and the Broncos lead at 7-3. Kevin Gilbride's team may have lost 7 in a row and certainly out of it, but he is very much into this one and very upset with that last call.
And I think he has a reason to be, and it may not be just that last call, you know, the culmination of the season, but also you figure on the safety that they have called. You have had 2 reversals of calls today, and it's as if instant replay were in effect.
And Smith with a super catch for his 11th touchdown. Bynum will bring it out from a couple of yards deep. Bynum cuts back. Flag on the play. And Bynum taken down at the 24. Randy Hilliard, leading special teams tackler, makes that stop. 26-yard return, but it will go against San Diego.
Illegal block, number 86 on the return. Half the distance to the goal. First down, timeout.
Shannon Mitchell with the penalty. Once again, penalties really hurting the San Diego Chargers as they trail early second quarter from Denver.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Frostbrewed Coors Light to remind you the 3 most important words are, hey, beer man. By Compaq, the most popular computer in the world. And by the Wide Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider, better.
First and 10 at their own 8 because of the penalty. That's where the Chargers take over. And a quick one maybe for a yard. As Kenny Bynum tackled by got to get back on the field.
What he should do is get with Bynum, split part of the money, have all the rest of the running backs just fake injuries. They can't play. He has to play the whole game.
You're a very devious person. 2nd and 9. Play fake. Wheelahan gets it out to Craver. And Craver hit by Mobley immediately at the 15. And a 3rd down coming up. Minnesota in the playoffs. Washington now with the victory, needing Detroit to lose to get into the playoffs. And Kansas City capping off a terrific regular season with a victory. Pittsburgh did not lose by how many was it? 65 points. So they're in solid position. 3rd and 2. Incomplete. Charlie Jones had an opportunity to get it. Darius Johnson there in the coverage. And 4th down, and Bennett will come on to punt. Of course, the key score for the Bronco fans, Jacksonville was leading Oakland 14-0 last score we saw.
You know, whenever you're about to enter the playoffs, you want to think that you get in on your own merit. And granted, the Broncos are already in the playoffs, but they want to earn the game here because obviously this crowd, their atmosphere, and it's a payback thing. Because Jacksonville walked in here and knocked them out of the driver's seat last year.
Gordon at the 39. Gordon cuts inside. And Gordon slowed down by Latario Rochelle. Knocked out of bounds inside the 35-yard line.
Darian Gordon came to the Chargers to be their 3rd defensive back. Torrey James was going to start at that corner. Gordon was thrust into the starting role at the beginning of the season. Not only has he played well at corner, but he's been one of the top punt returners in the league. And there's a face mask call there that was not called.
He wants to be known as a defensive back first, but he keeps returning like that, and everyone thinks of him as one of the best in the game as a punt returner. Ball at the 31. Elway to Hebron. Hebron hit right away and thrown for a loss. Pat Sapp makes the tackle, while the Broncos go back to row with a 2nd and long. We'll tell you about to go on live for complete NFL coverage on MSNBCSports.com. Meanwhile, this is Bill Parcells' best coaching job ever, and maybe the best coaching job in football this season, plus the installment of Smash Mouth Football, how championship rings are won on the ground and in the trenches, with insight from our colleague Randy Cross and Gil Brandt.
Bill Parcells will not call this a good coaching job unless they win today against the Detroit Lions.
The Jets are leading the Lions 10-0 in that game. Elway fires it complete out to the 25-yard line. Shannon Sharp. Michael Dumas in on the tackle. And Sharp with his 2nd reception.
There are a lot of qualities that you look for in a quarterback. You look for somebody who has good size, maybe they can run a decent 40 time, good arm strength, but the ability to move around in the pocket. And I'm not talking about scrambling and taking off down the field for a 60-yard run. The ability to move and to buy time for your receivers. It just makes the defense crazy.
Sets up a 3rd and 4. McCaffrey now in motion. Intercepted by Sayal. And Sayal, with not a lot of mobility because of the knee injury, it's only a few yards, but the turnover is John Elway. Throws the interception. San Diego will take over.
And that was just a gift from John Elway to Junior Seau. I mean, there are 2 Chargers in the area. He steps right in front of the receiver.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Domino's Pizza, delivering 1 million smiles a day. Call for a hot pizza now and you'll be smiling by halftime.
Broncos lead it 7-3 at Mile High. San Diego, 1st and 10 off the Sayal interception. Sayal's 2nd interception of the season. It is loud here in Denver. Big rush on Wheelahan. Puts downfield, intercepted. taken down at the 30. Steve Atwater, his second interception of the season.
It's exactly what Kevin Gilbride told us. He said, this is a guy, Wheelahan, he'll make some good plays, and then he'll just pull a bonehead play out. It almost sets up as if it's a screen to the left. You see the back, the lineman out there, and he decides at the last minute to go downfield. Normally, when you have a screen call, the receivers are supposed to run their route downfield, and you're kind of doing it at about 80% efficiency because you know when the screen is coming. That time he just should have thrown that ball away out of bounds.
The other interception this year for Atwater also against San Diego, and he returned that one for a touchdown. Well, Broncos right back at the charge at 30 as they go straight up the middle. Hebron with a few. Hebron in his 5th year out of Virginia Tech. Overall, this is just his 7th career start. He's the guy that missed all in '95 because of a knee injury. For the Broncos last year, as we mentioned earlier, his last start was back in '94. He's only about 190 pounds. Picks up 3 on that play. Elway, plenty of time. Complete to Smith at the 15. And a first down as he's knocked out of bounds by Shaw.
And there's no better confidence builder than to have John Elway put it right between the 8 and the 0. Very simple route. He runs at the backside of the defensive back, gets him to turn, and look at that ball right there between the 8 and the 0. That's one that I think, Mike, even you'd be able to pull in.
Yes, I think you're right. As horrible a receiver as I was in my career, unlike yourself, James. But he stayed extra all week long with some practicing with the coaches after every practice during the week. Elway pumps, looks for Smith. Touchdown! Rod Smith with his second touchdown catch of the game. I think his confidence may be back.
Yeah, and we forget that he has been as big a component of this offense as Terrell Davis. That's his 12th touchdown of the year. And, he might not have been a guy who got those votes going to White. You have to remember, this is a guy out of Missouri Southern, not drafted, here as a practice squad player. Now he's going to be a guy, if he continues the type of play that he had early in the season and what he's doing today, he's the type of guy who, when you play against the Broncos, you say, how do we stop Rod Smith?
Elam connects, and it's 14-3. Smith leads the NFL in yards per catch, or second in the NFL, I should say. And this one, there's no question, both feet in bounds on this touchdown reception. The mile-high salute. Broncos rolling right now in Denver.
The road to the Super Bowl on NBC starts next Sunday. Fasten your seatbelts. The AFC wildcard game next Sunday on NBC.
I think it's fairly easy to say it's been a career year for Rod Smith, just his 3rd year in the NFL. And his 2 TD receptions today give him a dozen for the '97 season. Bynum at the 1. And Bynum, another nice return across the 30. And taken down at about the 33. Steve Russ makes the tackle. And Bynum will stay on the field where the Chargers will take over. Just under 9 minutes remaining in the second. We saw Randy Hilliard walking off slowly.
When you're getting ready to head into the playoffs, you want to shore up all units of your team. And kickoff coverage is a vital unit. You can't play against the Jacksonville Jaguars next week and give them the ball outside the 30-yard line.
They mark it at the 32. Wheelahan just threw the interception. Play fake under pressure, gets away. Complete to Martin at the 46-yard line. And Tony Martin making a catch. Wheelahan flushed out by Neil Smith, but still got it away.
And Darius Johnson is in the game for Ray Crockett. And you talk about cushion. You normally line up about 6 yards, 7 yards off the wide receiver. he is 11 yards off and giving ground. And I know Tony Martin is fast, but I don't care if it's Carl Lewis or Michael Johnson out there. You don't line up 12 yards off and continue to retreat.
So Markwright blows the whistle. Jerry Markwright has officiated a lot of games here at Mile High and said the first several times he officiated here, there was always a torrential rain, lightning. In fact, one preseason game they had to hold off the game for a while because the lightning was so severe. He said they never wanted to see him here because it always, every time he came, until Markwright's here, they're going to have rain again. But that is not the case today. A beautiful afternoon in Denver. And I've been chastised by some Denver residents for saying that this is unusual, this weather, because they do have some beautiful weather like this, certainly in December and January. Crockett remains on the sideline. First down again for San Diego at their own 46. Broncos leading at 14-3. Off to Bynum. Bynum breaks some tackles across midfield and down to the 47-yard line. Keith Traylor trips him up. Kenny Bynum with a couple of impressive runs. Gilbride really likes him because he's got some physical toughness about him. Has not yet learned how to read things out on the field yet. He's still learning.
But Gilbride may like him, but the guy who's not liking him right now is Gary Brown. He's on the sideline thinking about that $200,000 that should be in his pocket.
2nd and 3. Wheelan sacked for the first time today. Trevor Price with his 2nd sack of the season.
You know, that sack will go down as Trevor Price's sack, but he gets great underneath coverage. Price is going to come right up the middle, and he's going to fight off the block of Raleigh McKenzie, but it's good underneath coverage by Aldridge, the linebacker, and Mobley. They get in the passing lane. They're just trying to throw a simple slant behind them.
Price, the first-round pick out of Clemson, makes it a 3rd and 9. Wheelan, plenty of time, complete at the 44-yard line. Gordon on the coverage as Charlie Jones made a very difficult catch. Now let's see where they spot it. It's very, very close to Gary Brown, who had a groin injury coming into the game, and we've heard that again the groin strained a bit here today. You know he wants to come back in, but he's been bothered by it the past couple of weeks.
And the Chargers have already decided that they're going to go for this on 4th down. They're about a ball length short. Gilbride has that extra time while they're measuring to figure out, okay, who do we need to attack along that defensive front? Where are we the strongest? Where are we the weakest? Where's our best matchup to get this one little ball length?
46-year-old Kevin Gilbride, his first year as a head coach in the NFL, was an assistant in the league for 8 years, learned under Jerry Glanville, Jack Pardee, and Tom Coughlin.
And their top offensive lineman has been number 70, Vaughn Parker, and you line up Ben Bordelin at tight end next to him.
Kramer may have gotten it. Again, it certainly depends on the spot, but he had a little forward momentum when he was hit. My initial impression was that he had enough for the first down.
Steve Atwater no longer has to make every big hit for this team. He's not the punishing tackler that he was when he first came into the league, but it seems like he makes the timely plays. I mean, that's a 4th down and a foot and a half, and he's up there at the line of scrimmage in the backfield meeting the running back.
Boy, you can't get much closer. And it's been that kind of year for the San Diego Chargers. Atwater, the defensive captain, in his 9th year in the NFL, making a big play, and the Broncos will take over.
KFC presents Goal to Go. In a key Week 2 contest against the Bears, Minnesota trailed by 4 with less than a minute to play. On first down from the 9, everyone in the stadium anticipated a pass to Chris Carter, but Brad Johnson connected with Chris Walsh, giving the Vikings the game-winning score.
Walsh puts him ahead at the late stages of the game. Remaining second quarter, along with James Lofton, Mike Green on hand at Mile High Stadium in Denver, where a win today for the Broncos or a Jacksonville loss at Oakland clinches home field for the wild card game next week between the Broncos and the Jaguars. Elway complete out to the 44. Shannon Sharp makes the catch. Sayal there on the stop along with Pat Sack. Sharp has seen a lot of double teams this year. His numbers perhaps a little down than what he had hoped, but he's become a better blocker. And is also very happy for Rod Smith and his emergence.
And I think what it does is it balances team a little better with having Rod Smith performing better on the outside.
Handoff to Howard Griffith, and Griffith, a rare carry, gets down to the 41. That's only the 9th time he's carried the football this season on the ground. He's talked to Terrell Davis and asked him who's been influential.
How many times has he carried it in the air?
All right, wise guy.
I just was waiting for you to make one slip. I'm just going to pounce all over you.
It's the altitude.
El Nino.
But Griffin, you asked Terrell Davis, who's been instrumental in Davis's year. Number 29 will be quickly mentioned. 5-yard pickup for Griffin. Hebron back to the carry. He's got a first down and more. Vaughn Hebron down to the 30-yard line. Rodney Harrison finally brings him down.
And we're talking about Howard Griffith and big-time collision. That's what it is when you play fullback. He's going to come through there, and he is going to meet Junior Seau head-on, and he puts Junior backwards.
Ball just inside the 30. Broncos, again, moving. Leading 14-3, under 5 minutes remaining. Second quarter. Elway. Sharp has got it. Shannon Sharp. And he goes out down at the 1-yard line.
You see Shannon Sharp laid out. I mean, it's not pain. The only pain is not getting in the end zone. You're that wide open. You see the ball coming. You're just waiting for it to get to you. He turns upfield and gets knocked out on the half-yard line. And if the Denver Broncos win this ball game, they will razz him so much about this play. I mean, he's the big, strong, tough guy with all the muscle, and he gets knocked sideways out of bounds.
A pretty good hit from Terrence Shaw. But again, the big gain, Sharp's 4th reception. And the Broncos have called timeout. And Sharp, as you see, over 1,000 yards, second consecutive time. You talk about favorites of Elway. Number 1 TD target for John Elway is Vance Johnson, 35. Shannon Sharp is gaining on him. He's number 2 with 32 touchdown receptions.
And the interesting thing about Shannon Sharp, when he came here, in 7th-round pick in 1990, he was a tweener. He wasn't really big enough to play tight end at the time, nor was he fast enough to play wide receiver. And then they kept moving him back and forth, not knowing what to do with him. Finally, they just stuck him at tight end. And you can argue, you know, is it the big guy out in New England or is it Shannon Sharp? And a lot of people would vote for Shannon Sharp because of what he can do down the field.
And there you see the scores. Minnesota in the playoffs. Washington now awaiting what happens in Detroit. They need the Lions to lose to get in. Lions and Jets playing this afternoon in Pontiac, Michigan. Tampa Bay winning its 10th of the year. Cincinnati again with the late season surge after the horrible start. And there's the Jets-Lions score, 10-0 at the 2-minute warning of the first half. We still have 4:14 remaining first half. Jacksonville leading 14-3. Elway, touchdown McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey now with a career high 8 touchdown receptions this season.
At 6'5", 215 pounds, he provides a very big body to throw the ball to down along the goal line. a lot of times you take the little wide receivers out, the guys who are 5'8", 5'9", they're on the sideline. But Ed McCaffrey provides you that big target to throw the ball to. And I don't think he's ever dropped the ball in his life.
Elway now has 26 touchdown passes for the season. That ties his career high. And John Elway having a big afternoon. Struggled last week against San Francisco. But 3 TD tosses here in the first half as the Broncos pouncing on the Chargers. 37-year-old John Elway twice has hooked up with Rod Smith. And now Ed McCaffrey. And it's 21-3. Broncos now in control.
See, now, that comes as a surprise to me. What'd you say, 26, 27 touchdowns for the year?
26 now.
And the guy in Green Bay, Brett Favre, throws 35, 40, it seems like almost every season. But what John Elway doesn't throw is a lot of those little 2, 3, 4-yard touchdown passes. When they get close, they have Terrell Davis.
As mentioned, that 26 ties a career high. He's done it 95 and 96. Bynum on the return again. And Bynum gets across the 25-yard line. Anthony Lynn making the tackle there. And a 20-yard return for the rookie. San Diego will take over with 4:01 remaining in the second in a game that has quickly turned on them. Well, they have seen that before. Like last week against Kansas City, they played them tough for a while. Before you know it, the game's done.
And we talked about special teams, and Rick Dennison, a guy who played middle linebacker here, knows the physical pounding that his guys have to take. And he makes sure that when they're at practice, that they don't have to run extra because they do all this running and hitting, during the game. So he makes sure that his guys, his little group of 4 guys, they don't have to work too hard during practice.
Wheelahan. Incomplete. Intended for Martin. Darius Johnson that time breaking it up.
Yeah, and Darius Johnson, who lined up about 15 yards off. You see him 6, 7 yards off. He's backing up and he's reading the quarterback in the backfield. So when the quarterback stops, he knows it's time to break on the football because Wheelahan rolled out. And when that guy's rolling to your side, you need to continue to give up ground because someone else can come from another area and beat you deep in your own zone.
Excellent timing from Johnson. 2nd and 10 for San Diego. Wheelahan, it seems at times struggling with the noise here. Handoff goes to Bynum. And Bynum with a good effort just to get back up to the 30-yard line as Tyrone Braxton brings him down. That looked like another one of those confusing handoffs.
I think there's just so much pressure at the line of scrimmage that Wheelahan wants to get back. He has to hurdle over the fullback. The fullback needs to get out of the way. Either the fullback is lined up too deep and he's too close to the running back, or the running back is too tight behind the fullback.
Wheelahan just his 3rd year out of Pacific. Had not played his first 2 years in the NFL. Now 3rd and 6. Incomplete. Metcalf had it and lost it. And the Chargers will punt down 21-3.
And the angle that Eric Metcalf is looking back, you see the shadows? He's looking back directly into the last bit of sun that's coming through Mile High Stadium. And just that one instant, he gets his head around a little slowly. But that ball's coming out of the sun, it just looks like a little blur.
And there is a lot of sun in the Denver area today. As we mentioned, just a beautiful day. Darian Gordon, always exciting to watch. Bennett gets off a great punt. And Gordon has to call for a fair catch at the 17. Bennett with a beautiful punt, 53 yards, and no return. Christmas weekend on NBC. Get ready to...
It's a double dose of the Mighty Ducks.
Quarterback is back, Jack!
The Mighty Ducks, Friday at 8.
We really stink.
D2, The Mighty Ducks, Saturday at 8. Christmas weekend on NBC.
Now that kid who said we really stink, does he play for the Chargers also?
Nah, that's me. That is not in the Christmas spirit.
I'm sorry.
That's just a...
But they were good the next year. And that's what the Chargers want to be. They want to use this top pick to get a good quarterback and be good next year.
That's a nice stance, James. Ball now at the 18. Elway, complete out of the backfield to Hebron. Hebron breaks the tackle. And gets up to about the 38-yard line. Michael Dumas finally brings him down. Come on, Hebron. Makes some nice moves after the catch.
And when Vaughn Hebron signed to come with the Denver Broncos 2 years ago, he knew that he was going to be the backup running back. And the backup running back job is to come in and to provide a spark when the big guy is down. And right now, the big guy is down. And it's his chance to show the rest of his teammates, sure, I can return kickoffs, but I can also play a little bit full-time.
It's only his second reception of the season. Then you don't get a lot of time with Davis. Sharp makes the catch at the 41-yard line. Lou Bush with the tackle. That's the fifth reception now for Sharp. As we're coming close to the 2-minute warning.
And Shannon Sharp lets three guys, the two wide receivers and Vaughn Hebron, just clear out. And he just comes across on a nice Sunday afternoon stroll, catches the ball for an easy pickup.
So a 2nd and 7 coming up. 2-minute warning in Denver. Broncos leading 21-3. Coming up at halftime, the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report. Greg Gumbel and his merry band of revelers will be in the studios back in New York with all the playoff implications from what's going on today. Minnesota winning, they're in. Washington winning, now hoping for a Lions loss. Lions and Jets playing right now in Detroit. Jets leading that 10-0. Here in Denver, a 21-3 Bronco lead. As the Broncos playing for home field in next week's wild card game against Jacksonville. Incomplete. Superb play from Paul Bradford, the rookie, to break that one up. It was intended for Smith. As we mentioned, Bradford had a rough week last week against the Chiefs. He's made some nice plays today.
Yeah, but the timing is thrown off because they get good pressure on John Elway. And he's open initially. But what he doesn't do, he doesn't beat Bradford back to the ball. Bradford gets that right hand in there. He has the left hand on the back, but because he doesn't like pull and try and control the receiver, there's no flag thrown.
Bradford, the 5th-round pick out of Portland State. He's in the starting lineup. 3rd and 7. Big blitz. Elway avoids it. Hits it to Shannon Sharp. Sharp the first down in charge of territory. Knocked out of bounds at the 45. And Sharp looks like he may be shaken up. Elway faced some big pressure. Michael Swift with the blitz from the defensive backfield.
And Sharp looked like he got what used to be referred to as a clothesline. And right across the chest, it gets up on the throat, then you have a personal foul. Yeah, and you know, you may not like the coverage matchup there. You get a big guy chase him, and when Fuller decides he's going to catch, it brings that right arm in and just gets him right across the chest. I don't know if that's the area that's hurt, but you get William Fuller hitting you in the chest. You see him grabbing maybe his knee. You get William Fuller, a guy who outweighs you by a lot, landing on you, hitting you. Something's going to hurt when you try and get up off the ground.
Sharp is up. They charge a timeout to the Broncos, so they have one left with 1:46 remaining. And they'll bring Sharp across the field.
And when I talked to Shannon Sharp this week, the one thing that he was kind of excited about is for the most part this season, and really now, he's injury-free. You can look at his legs. Didn't wear any pads in his pants. And it used to be where that was kind of what the wide receivers did. We talked about him being a tweener. Granted, he has to block a lot for Terrell Davis, but he wants that extra speed by not having to wear those pads when he goes downfield. But those bumps and bruises you take when you hit the ground, they take the toll out of it.
Dwayne Carswell comes in at the tight end spot. Sharp did get the first down. Elway steps up, gets it off. Hebron down the sidelines, knocked out of bounds. Just shy of the 25. Michael Dumas finally pushes him out.
And you can see the effects on Junior Seau, a guy who is known around the league for having that great closing speed. Just doesn't have it today. I would take 9 out of 10 linebackers around the league if they had the injury that Junior Seau has right now. They'd be in their street clothes on the sideline, especially in a game that is meaningless like this. You can see him dragging that one left leg that was surgically repaired before the season started. He's just out there on guts right now.
Sprained left knee, suffered last week. Same knee as surgery in preseason. Elway for the end zone for Smith. just can't hold on. Bradford again on the coverage.
Well, one of the tough things when you start jockeying for position, you kind of lose the flight of the ball and the speed that is coming down. Because there's enough bumping going on here. I mean, if you're in automobiles, you're going to have some dents on the side of your cars. You see him he just can't extend his hands far enough, and that's really all that bumping. That impairs your vision.
I think that's good coverage from Bradford. Physical enough, but stays away from having the flag thrown. Sharp, by the way, is back in the game. Smith has already caught 2 deep passes. Hebron on the handoff. And Hebron barrels down to the 21. See, under a minute and a half remaining. Broncos with 1 timeout left. Chargers have all 3. Broncos in control of the game, though, 21-3.
You know, I think Von Hebron is getting some good work today because he's the X factor. The unknown is, you know, granted, we all think Terrell Davis is going to be healthy enough to play next week. But what happens if he goes out there, he gets hit on that thing early? Then you go with Hebron, a guy who's had 2 pretty good weeks back-to-back.
And some movement on the line. Hebron actually brought that point up this week, saying, hey, you never know when somebody's going to go down. You always have to be ready. This will go against the Broncos.
Ball start, number 63, offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
And David Diaz-Infante, who can blame this guy for being a little anxious? He's getting some full-time work. Mark Solarette is out. But Diaz-Infante, in 1987, he was a replacement player with the Chargers. Then he plays in the World League. He plays in Canada. He's out of football for a couple of years. And finally, he's back in the NFL. And it has been a long journey for this guy.
Now playing at Mile High Stadium in a playoff implication game in December. Under a minute remaining, 3rd and 11. Elway looks complete to Sharp. Shannon Sharp inside the 5, taken down at the 3-yard line. Sharp with his 7th reception.
You know, that's a 70-plus catch season for Shannon Sharp. We noted earlier that he has only 2 touchdowns. We've seen him knocked out on the 1, and that time he catches the ball inside the 5.
And Elway will stop the clock with 28 seconds remaining. Sharp having a big day. 5 times in his career, he's caught double-figure catches in a single game. The NFL record is 6. Kellen Winslow has that. Sharp already with 7 in the first half. That's pretty impressive for a tight end.
And the Broncos are really going to try and spread the field on this play. They have 1 tight end, 1 running back, and 3 wide receivers, and that gives John Elway a lot of options when he backs away from the center.
Elway, incomplete. Willie Green, the intended receiver, Terrence Shaw. Right there on the coverage. And a flag is thrown.
You know, there was never any separation. You don't normally run an out route from the 5-yard line, but when you have someone with the arm strength of John Elway, you just think that you can fit the ball in. You know, Shaw saying that Willie Green got his hand up in his face. And if you put your hand in the other guy's face.
Unnecessary roughness, number 85. After the ball was dead, 15-yard penalty. The down counts.
Well, Willie Green is reacting to the mile-high salute that Shaw gave him. And, you know, I don't know if you can call that taunting because nobody owns the exclusive right to the mile-high salute. I mean, granted, it came here. You know, Adrian Morrell from the Jets thought that he had made it up. He didn't realize that earlier in the day, Terrell Davis had been in the end zone about 4 times, saluting everybody who walked by.
Of course, Morrell with the Jets, they used to do the salute. His father a military man, so it was honor of his dad. Either way, the penalty hurts as the ball back to the 19. 3rd and goal. They'll call it actually inside the 19. Elway goes into the shotgun. Hands off to Hebron. Hebron cuts inside. Hebron still going. And he gets down to the 7. Nice run from Hebron. And the Broncos will call their final timeout and kick a field goal with 17 seconds remaining in the first half.
that the Broncos would have let all the time run off on the clock so that they would have a chance, not give the Chargers a chance to get the ball back and do anything with it.
So Jason Elam will come out on the field. Elam admitted this week he has not had a good year. He's 25 of 35, but he's had a bad season. That's his own quote. He's missed a number of kicks, missed a couple last week against San Francisco, missed a few when he lost to Oakland. Remember, he was a Pro Bowler in 95, did not have a great 96. He was injured earlier this season with a hip flexor, and they will need him at full strength in the playoffs. Of course, so many playoff games come down to a field goal.
And you saw his numbers up there, right around 71%. The cutoff for even staying in the league is actually about 75%. You need to be able to hit 3/4 of your kicks. And guys who don't do that find themselves at home selling car insurance.
This is a 25-yarder. He's 1 for 1 today. And the Broncos add to their lead. It started off slowly for Denver. But with 13 seconds remaining in the first half, Broncos now dominating 24-3.
Everyone talks about the kicker, but the most important element is the hole, because that guy has marked the spot with his left hand. He's going to put it back down. He's going to turn those laces away. He's going to tilt it just the right way. And it's kind of like when you fluff your pillow at night. There's a certain way to fluff it so that when you put your head down, it feels perfect. And it's the same way with a kicker. He has to have it spun, leaned over, and fluffed up just right so he can put it through the upright.
Well, since we're being so kind and the holder important, how about the guy that snaps it and the fellow who's next to the snapper gets some encouragement?
So it's a team game, right?
Yes, just being a little sarcastic here as we wind up the first half. But there's no question. You talk to some kickers, and they'll tell you they can't do it without a certain holder. They get very superstitious about it, and they get very comfortable with certain holders.
And it used to be the job of the backup quarterback, but now, because punters and kickers can spend the whole practice together, backup quarterback has to do other things.
Elam, this time Craver backtracks, goes a yard deep in his end zone. And Craver gets up to about the 24. Final seconds here of the first half. San Diego will come out. Again, we talk about Gary Brown and trying to get 1,000 yards. He has a groin injury. Now when you're down 24-3, you're not going to look to run the football all that much. It's been a tough go for Wheelahan, but he's excited about his opportunity to finally play, and he knows that he's using every series for experience. Well, that's not easy for Charger fans to listen to, and Wheelahan will go down on the knee to end the first half. It was only 3-0 after the first quarter, but Elway throws 3 touchdown passes in the second quarter, and the Broncos in control. Let's go to New York right now, and Greg Gumbel.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Domino's, delivering a million smiles a day.
And we welcome you to our studios in New York, along with Joe Gibbs, Sam Weiss, and Chris Collinsworth. I'm Greg Gumbel. Let's run down the story so far on a very busy final Sunday of the regular season. First of all, at the Silverdome in Pontiac at halftime, the New York Jets with a 10-3 lead on the Detroit Lions. One of the stories of this game, Barry Sanders, the man that many say is the greatest runner of all time, just 8 carries for 20 yards. Why, Joe, just 8 carries?
34 plays and only touched the ball 8 times. I actually had 3 more passes to that, but I think even if it's long yard situations in the second half, you got to give him the ball on draws, trying to get it to him on screens. I don't know, Scott Mitchell, they said he missed practice, maybe hurt, who knows. He's been fairly ineffective on the first half, certainly a great job. I think by the Jets defense.
But isn't that even more reason to give the football to Barry Sanders if your quarterback's nicked with the rib thing coming into the football game? But you have to talk about what this defensive staff for the Jets has done. It's the same thing they did at the end of the season last year when they were in New England. They simply, at the end of the season, they've begun to dominate. Last week they came off one of the best performances of the last 15 years, holding the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to about 111 yards of offense. They turn right around now on the road against the Detroit Lions in essentially a playoff game, doing the exact same thing.
So far.
All
right, in Denver, the Broncos tuning up for the playoffs, leading the Chargers 24-3 in the game that you're watching, and John Elway regaining some of that magic touch that he hasn't had the last couple of games.
Yeah, maybe coming out of the slump. And for him, it's been a slump without Terrell Davis kind of sharing the load and maybe kind of disguising some of the off weeks that he's had recently. Without him, John Elway had to step up. He is 16 for 23, 3 touchdown passes. That's stepping up big time.
All right, Sam. In Oakland, the Jacksonville Jaguars with a 14-3 lead on the Raiders. They are early in the second half. And in Arizona, the Falcons with a field goal lead over the Cardinals. Significance of this game, should Arizona lose, then the Cardinals will get the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. If Arizona wins, then the Indianapolis Colts will claim that pick. Earlier today in Minnesota, the Vikings over the Colts 39-28. Robert Smith, 160 yards on the ground, set a new Vikings record. Finished the season with 1,266 yards rushing. 10-10 in the second, a 76-yard run by Robert Smith led to this. Randall Cunningham to Chris Carter, second of 3 between those twosomes today. 17-10 Minnesota. 23-10 now. Kelly Holcomb came on twice in relief of an injured Jim Harbaugh, but he hurt the Colts with 5 turnovers. Robert Griffith, the interception here, led to a Cunningham touchdown pass to Andrew Glover. Indy rallied, but after Harbaugh was shaken up for a second time, Holcomb fumbles away a snap, leading to a Viking field goal. Minnesota wins it 39-28 and clinches a playoff spot in the NFC. Now, in Washington, the Redskins keep their playoff hopes alive with a 35-32 win over the Philadelphia Eagles. Darrell Green honored before the game. Last week he passed Monty Coleman, setting a new team record by playing in his 217th game. The defense scored Washington's first touchdown. Then Green picks off Bobby Hoying here and returns it 83 yards for another defensive touchdown. His first interception of the year, his 7th career return for TD. Washington up 14-0 the final, 35-32. And then Redskins fans were invited to watch the Lions-Jets game, which will determine the Redskins' playoff fate. We will explain all of that for you momentarily. In Kansas City, the Chiefs finished the season 13-3 with a 25-13 win over New Orleans. In Tennessee, the Oilers beat the Pittsburgh Steelers today 16-6. In Tampa, the Bucks claim a home wild card game with a 31-15 win over the Chicago Bears. In Dallas, the Giants over the Cowboys today, 20-7. Deion Sanders out with a fractured rib, gets onto the field, providing his teammates with some refreshment, but not enough. Giants extend their lead here from 3-0 to 10-0. Danny Cannell to Chris Callaway, 21 yards. Cannell only played in the first half, but it was enough. 13-0 in the second now. Rodney Hampton, his first touchdown of the season, 49th of his career, setting a new Giants team record. A frustrating season for Michael Irvin and the Cowboys. Meanwhile, Tito Wooten illustrating the fact that Giants made a clean sweep of the NFC East. They went undefeated, 7-0-1, first team ever in the NFC East to do that. The Giants win it 20-7. And in Cincinnati, the Bengals go 6-2 over their last 8 games to beat the Ravens 16-14. Now here's what the wild card picture looks like next weekend. First in the AFC, the Jets win today. The matchups are Jacksonville against Denver Saturday, the Jets against either Miami or New England on Sunday. If the Jets lose, Jacksonville and Denver would still play Saturday. Miami and New England would play on Sunday. In the NFC, with the Lions win today, Minnesota would visit the Meadowlands Saturday. Detroit is at Tampa on Sunday. If the Lions lose, the Giants host the Redskins Saturday, and Minnesota plays Tampa on Sunday. We will send you back to Denver for the second half after these messages and news headlines from your local station.
Hey, Coach, you ready to play today? I-24. I-24. Oh, 73. Oh, 73.
This is it. This is it.
I-16. I-16. Bingo! Bingo! I got bingo!
That's real.
Logo Athletic, authentic team apparel.
Ready for the next game?
It's time to sign up again for NFL Sunday Ticket. Because if you make that call now, we're going to clip $40 off the renewal price for next season. We're holding the price at just $119 for a limited time. Can you imagine what Sundays would be like without catching up to 13 games from all around the country? Pretty bleak. So avoid any penalties. Make the right call. Pick up the phone and renew NFL Sunday Ticket. This is a limited time offer, so call DirecTV. You're watching NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV.
Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC Halftime Report. Brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Domino's, delivering a million smiles a day.
Hi, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Gibbs, Sam Weiss, and Chris Collinsworth. And let's take this opportunity to talk about one of the surprise teams in the NFL this season, The New York Giants, they beat the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas today. The final was 20-7. The Giants finished the season unbeaten in the NFC East. They will host either the Vikings or the Redskins next Saturday. Chris, I don't think that you can underestimate the Giants playing at home in that first-round game, and you certainly can't underestimate the job Jim Paulson has done.
No, he's done a great job. And when you consider that this team started 1-3 on the season, they clearly are one of the hottest teams in football. And I think there's such a gap, though, between Green Bay and San Francisco and the rest of the NFC that's now going to be in the playoffs. But the one team you hold out a little bit of hope for is the New York Giants simply because of their pass defense. Jason Sehorn, Felipe Sparks, two guys that can really play that man-to-man coverage, gives them a chance against two passing teams with Green Bay and San Francisco.
New York Giants, Jim Fossil, offensive coach, defensive-minded this season to win this thing. They've given up only 10 touchdown passes, ties them for best in the National Football League with the Green Bay Packers. This is a coach right now that he stepped out of the assistant role into the head coach role perfect for him.
I agree with you guys on the Giants, but let me ask you something. What is Jerry going to do in Dallas? I mean, he's down the sidelines. I heard he wasn't going to be on the sidelines. I'd like to make this comment now. This is assistant coaches on this staff are some of the most solid guys in the league. They've been there through Super Bowls. I wouldn't think that he would want to mess with any of that chemistry with assistant coaches, but it's kind of up in the air. What do you think?
You got to mess with something in Dallas.
Yeah.
He is not going to tolerate another season like the one he had.
I don't think Jerry will be the head coach down there. Though it looks tempting for him. I'm sure he's thinking about it. But Joe, I don't think he.
Chris, so he said it would be February for him to make that decision. That's a long time to wait.
Move on. Tomorrow night, the Patriots visit the Dolphins. Now, a Jet loss today would mean both of those teams are in. A Jet victory would mean only the winner is in. Either way you look at it, Joe, this game tomorrow night ought to be a dandy, Miami and New England.
And I got to tell you, I cannot remember a time that my team, when I was really at Washington, we got beat soundly. I mean, really trampled by somebody. You know, we always came back in the next week that I can remember had a great effort. So I'm saying that Jimmy Johnson has the best in this psychologically. You know, Pete Carroll, on the other hand, I've only had a couple of those games where you actually have it won, give it away, it just kills you. And I'd have to think that Miami Dolphins playing at home with that psychological edge would have the advantage in this one.
Home field advantage is tremendous. Don't worry about anybody playing for the next match. They may match up again in a week in the playoffs right here. Forget that. They'll cook everything they've got, shoot all the weapons in this one, try to get that home field advantage.
I will say this, both these teams at times this season have shown the ability to bounce back after a tough loss the previous week.
Yeah, and don't forget the first time that these two teams got together, Dan Marino threw all those interceptions, a couple for touchdowns against New England the first time around. So he has the double whammy going right now, coming off one of his worst games ever against Indianapolis last week, and truly one of his worst games against this New England bunch the first time. If Dan Marino is Dan Marino, the way I know Dan Marino, he'll be Dan Marino and do that Dan Marino thing and come out huge here in this game.
And Dan Marino is Dan Marino. NFL and NBC, halftime activities continue.
We need everybody today. Every single person on this team. Right here. Comes from the heart, baby. From the heart. Dominate. 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 1, 2, 3. Pass it. Bring it on, baby. Sideline to the 35-30. He's gone. Good clean time. Good clean time, baby.
You may not remember exactly when it first hit you, but somewhere along the way you felt it. And you knew. Feel the power.
Next Saturday, take a look back at the greatest sports moments of the past 12 months in Sports Illustrated's 1997 The Year in Sports. Next Saturday on NBC.
Halftime at Mile High Stadium in Denver. Broncos playing for home field the next week's wild card game. And they are in control 24-3 over the Chargers. Slow again, everyone. Long with James Lofton, Mike Green on hand. Started off slowly for the Broncos. In fact, Chargers got on the board first with a field goal. It was 3-0 after one. Well, then all hell broke loose for the Broncos. Elway went nuts.
All hell broke loose in the officiating department first, but John Elway has been on target today. His receivers have held on to the ball. The big question mark is Who does Mike Shanahan put in for the second half of this ball game?
Well, Elway again, he's been struggling the last couple of weeks a little bit. Vaughn Hebron coming in today, and Vaughn Hebron doing a good job there. You see the rushing yards. Hebron averaging about 4.5 yards per carry, but it's Elway that did the job in the first half. As we look at our Coors Light halftime stats, Elway did throw 1 interception, but 3 TD strikes, 2 of them to Rod Smith. So we're set for the second half kickoff. Greg Davis will do the honors for the Chargers. Derek Lavelle at the 5. Across the 20. Up near the 30. And gets up to about the 32. 27-yard return. James Burgess makes the tackle. And the Broncos will see if they can add to their totals. Player down, Burgess shaken up after the tackle. Burgess, the rookie out of Miami. It has been a long year for the Chargers. And for the Broncos, they've had some struggles recently. Not in the first half, though. After some early problems offensively, they really look sharp. No pun intended, is Shannon Sharp with 7 receptions. And then you look at what San Diego did in the first half. Again, they led 3-0, but then it got very ugly after that.
And I think that the big question mark on this team is obviously Stan Humphries. What does he decide to do after the season? We talked to Gilbride. He said Stan Humphries is going to take a week because he wants to make this decision in a timely fashion. He's going to spend a week with his wife. They're going to sit down. They're going to talk. He's had the concussion. Whether or not he decides to return to football next year.
Atron Smith has come into the game. Elway on a play fake. Avoids one. Sharp has got it. Sharp down the sidelines. 1 man to beat. It's Harrison. Touchdown, Shannon Sharp. 68 yards.
There's an old adage in football that you will get beat mentally before you will physically. No one on earth can get that wide open. You can't juke somebody or fake them to get that wide open. It gets down to becoming a mental game. Granted, you have a play action fake in the backfield, but someone has to be responsible for that coverage.
Sharp's 3rd touchdown of the season. Elway's 4th of the game, and Elway has just set a career high for touchdown passes in a year. As Elam puts it through. John Elway now with 27 touchdown passes this year. That is a career high for number 7.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Staples, the Office Superstore, by IBM Solutions for a Small Planet, by Century by Buick. Discover a little luxury in this century. And by Visa, the official card of the NFL. It's everywhere you want to be.
31-3 Denver. Elam kicks off. Bynum at the 9. And Kenny Bynum hit hard and knocked backwards to the 23-yard line. Keith Burns with the hard hit. Bubby Brister. John Elway's backup was warming up a little bit. Now, I know Pittsburgh today, if they lost by more than 65, it would hurt them. If the Broncos win by more than 65, they get anything, James?
You know what? Sometimes you can become overconfident playing against a team that is not on the same caliber as you are. As fine as the Broncos have looked today, we still have to go back to the previous 2 games against the 49ers and against the Pittsburgh Steelers, teams that are going to be in the playoffs.
Wheelahan hands off to Bynum. Bynum gang tackled after maybe 2 yards. I mean, how bad is it now for the Chargers? Not only are they getting swamped, but you also think they're going to finish the season 8 straight losses. It's also raining in San Diego today.
It never rains in Southern California.
Not today. As you see, Pittsburgh only losing by 10. They finish up 11-5. Tampa Bay clinches home field for their first playoff game with that victory. Scores around. There's the big one in Detroit. Jets lead is down to 4. Wheelahan complete up to the 36. Bryan still with his first reception of the day. And that's good for a first down.
And last week's ball game in the third quarter, Kevin Gilbride had to pull Wheelahan out of the game. He was just getting physically pounded. The offensive line wasn't holding up. And when you're behind like this, you have to abandon the run if you expect to get back in the ball game at all. And when they do that, they leave Craig Wheelahan very vulnerable back there in the pocket.
Gets a first down that time. Receiver Gary Brown will not return with the groin injury, so he will fall shy of the 1,000 yards and knock up that extra $200,000 bonus. Wheelahan thrown backwards. Alfred Williams for the Broncos' second sack of the day. Williams now with 8.5 on the season.
You know, very often you hear guys, stay at home on the backside. The only way that you can stay at home on the backside is if the guys on the front side are doing their job. And when you're working well defensively, you can have confidence that the guys on the other side of the defensive line are going to do their job. So all you have to consequently do is your job.
Brings up a 2nd and 18. Chargers with 4 wide receivers. Hard for Wheelahan to go into shotgun today with the noise. Dumps it off to Metcalf, makes a nice grab, but taken down from behind. Neil Smith quickly on top along with Mobley. Mobley in double digits in tackles today.
There's a certain amount of electricity that goes in the air when Eric Metcalf gets the ball in his hand. And a lot of people have questioned, how come this guy isn't a full-time player? Why can't he start at wide receiver instead of Brian Still and Charlie Jones? And Gilbride says he plays well when he's inside in that slot position. But when he has to move outside, he's kind of like a fish out of water.
He has played well in a difficult season when he's got the opportunity. 3rd and 11. Charlie Jones. Jones gets up to the 40. Well shy of the first down. Darian Gordon runs him down. And the Chargers once again will punt.
It's just one of my least favorite things to see. 3rd and 11. You throw the ball 3 yards down the field, and you expect the runner to get it after the catch. And this is a team that you really need to be able to throw the ball beyond the stick and come up with some big plays.
Not the case there. Bennett's had some great kicks. Another beautiful high kick. Gordon has to settle another fair catch and then gets hit. No flag though. Michael Hamilton.
The flag is out. He has it in his hand, but you have to conference now. You need the conference call. That's a valid, definite fair catch signal, and now the hanky has been dropped on the ground.
That's a valid hit after the signal. Maybe he was thinking, all right, it's 31-3, let's show a little mercy, but you've got to throw the flag on that play. Mark Wright and his crew still discussing it. Hamilton, the rookie out of North Carolina A&T.
Interference. Fair catch interference. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Another Charger penalty. With San Diego experiencing a lot more problems than that as they're getting hammered in Denver. With the playoffs and Super Bowl approaching, you need help, football fans. So we have SuperBowl.com as NBC teams up with the NFL and IBM to produce the game's official website. Lots of information, sneak peek at our plans for San Diego, as well as complete playoff analysis with Bubby Brister. At least his team will be in the playoffs. Whether or not he plays, certainly Bronco fans don't want to see him play. They want Mr. Elway out there, but Brister, the veteran, is the backup now. And as Elway has had a magnificent afternoon, 4 touchdown throws for John Elway. They take over at their own 38. Everett gets up maybe about 5 yards. Lou Bush finally brings him down. Hebron has done a very nice job filling in, not only running the football, but he's made some nice catches and runs after the catch.
And if I'm Mike Shanahan, I'm standing there on the sideline, and I glance around. I see Terrell Davis in street clothes. I'm reminded of what happened to Jerry Rice on Monday night. I look out in the field and I see, a guy who, we pay him about $40 million. He makes about $80 million on car deals. I get that guy out the football game right now.
Everett breaks some tackles and then quickly brought down. Elway remains in. Of course, because Elway has not played, certainly against San Francisco, did not have a sharp game. Maybe leaving him out there, but he's shown that he's kind of broken out of the slump of that first half.
15 years,
all right.
40,000 yards passing, with 63 comebacks.
Did you think even after all your successful years, you could have a little slump that you needed to get out of?
It took me about 5 years to get out of the slump once.
He's got a 3rd and 4. Look at the difference between last week and this week. You saw the numbers. Everett gets the call again and quickly taken down to the 45. John Perella pounces on him. And 4th down coming up. It's funny how the perception of this team has turned. As we mentioned earlier, back at the end of October, there was no question the Broncos were going to the Super Bowl. Now, a lot of people, even here in Denver, don't believe that. There was one headline this week in one of the local papers in Denver. Let's face it, the Broncos are finished. I mean, that's ridiculous. If Davis is healthy, and you see the way Elway is, this team can clearly get to the Super Bowl again. It will not be easy, no question, but they have the ability. Bruin with the kick. Metcalf calling for the fair catch. The ball stops there. Flag comes in at the 5-yard line, where the Broncos will down it, but a penalty marker on the play. 50-yard punt. So Mark Wright will get the word.
Illegal block during the kick, number 27, receiving team. After distance to the goal, push down.
Michael Swift explaining his penalty. Falls on deaf ears as the Chargers losing 31-3.
The network of the Super Bowl. You're watching the NFL on NBC.
Although still early in the 3rd quarter, Broncos looking in good position to secure that home field for next Saturday's wild card game against Jacksonville. What a playoff rematch that will be. This place will be nuts. It's been pretty loud today. Willihan hands off, and maybe a yard as the Chargers starting on their own 3 because of the penalty. Kenny Bynum on the run. And Tony Bertie shaken up a bit. Of course, it has been a tough year with the 7 losses. The injuries to the quarterback have been key for Kevin Gilbride. First, Stan Humphries going down, then Jim Everett, their backup, also down. Willihan, their 3rd string. And Gilbride just doesn't know if Willihan's a guy for the future. He doesn't know if Humphries is going to come back. The pitch. Bynum gets a little room, runs out of bounds up near the 10. There are other options. Of course, they're going to have high draft choices, so they might go for quarterback. There's also the free agent route.
I mean, it's really open, but the 3rd pick in the draft, if that's where their slot falls, that's only one player. This team is still multiple players away, and Bobby Beathard, who has traded out of the 1st round, I believe the last 3 or 4 years in a row. I mean, what could he get for that 3rd pick? I mean, he might be able to get 3 other first-round picks. But this team right now needs quantity, not quality.
A lot depends on Humphries' decision. 3rd and 3. Metcalf complete, lost it. They're going to call it a fumble? No, incomplete. Metcalf not holding on long enough. Randy Hilliard with the hit to knock it loose. Good hit from Hilliard.
You think about this ball game and what do the players play for at this point. You know, they talk about pride, but really the evaluation process is ongoing. And coaches and other general managers from other teams look at these films, the last few ball games, to see how these guys line.
Gordon back at the 39, finally gets a chance to return one. And is pushed out of bounds by Michael Hamilton. And we'll take a timeout. 7:42 remaining, third quarter. Broncos in complete control.
Getting a little colder as the day
wears on here in Denver. It was a beautiful day early. The sun's still out. Fans enjoying the Bronco romp. A little holiday spirit at Mile High Stadium. And it appears they will be back here next week. The game will be Saturday
against Jacksonville, although we still have 7:42 remaining. You see that fit now?
Fairbanks, Alaska's team. Those are elves down from the North Pole there. You see those two elves?
Those elves should put a jacket on. I'm concerned with their health. Elway still in the game. Hands it off to Lavelle, and he gets into Charger territory.
And now let me see if I can try and figure this out. Vaughn Hebron, your backup running back, is out. You put in the third string running back. John Elway, okay, now here comes Bubby Briscoe. Yeah, I see the thing. It's drama, and you let him take the ovation, more touchdown passes than he's ever thrown in a single season. So I understand the workings of it now. See, I'm not into the entertainment clauses, but you have to see the big picture.
See, Brister hasn't played this year out of football in '96, his first regular season game since '95. Waddell gets the pitch, avoids Fuller, and gets down to the 44-yard line. We'll bring up about a 3rd and 2. Marco Tolan making the tackle. Waddell coming into the game with only 11 carries, and it's been a while since he's carried the football.
But you talk about, guys being out a year, and, he didn't do much last year. But in '95, he had over 700 yards rushing for the 49ers, over 600 yards receiving. And he was kind of like the poor man's Roger Craig. Roger Craig was a great 49er back. And Mike Shanahan, after that experience out there, when he sees someone who functions well in that 49er system, goes and he picks those guys up.
And the Broncos, Rod Smith was signaling for a timeout just prior to the snap, and he got it in time. So Brister and the new quarterback, and they have to call a timeout quickly. 35-year-old Bubby Brister. This is his 11th year in the NFL. Played 7 years with the Steelers, 2 more with the Eagles, that 1 year with the Jets back in '95. He was the 3rd quarterback for the first 13 games of this season and is now the backup. Hey, in case Elway something happens, Brister has the experience.
You know Bubby's greatest distinction, though, don't you? Bubby threw me the last pass I ever caught.
Did he really?
I mean, other people threw me ones, I missed them, but he threw me the last pass I ever caught. We were teammates with the Philadelphia Eagles. It was an over a Monday night game, gone into overtime.
It was kind of an overnight career in Philly.
All the young players had gotten tired, and, I was one of the few guys who could stay up that late, and he threw me a ball late in the ball game.
I have a feeling he might disagree with you that that's his number one distinction.
But when I saw him, some guys get older. He looks like he's taking better care of himself now than 4 years ago. He's been in the weight room. He looks slim and trim. He's ready to go.
Well, he hasn't played since '95. Little fake there. McCaffrey on the catch. And McCaffrey down to the 32-yard line. McCaffrey's 4th reception with Dumas and Swift bring him down.
And John Elway is not the only guy in the building with a cannon arm. There was some zip on that ball from Bubby Briscoe. It took him about 25 minutes to warm up on the sideline. We had been seeing him, wondering when he was going to go in. He wanted to warm up because he knew they were going to want it the 90-mile-an-hour fastball right off the bat.
And he threw it. A little heat from Brister. Quickly hit behind the line of scrimmage. Lou Bush right away. 2nd down coming up.
Football's kind of an unfair game. The quarterback gets to come out, the running back gets to come out, but the guys up front, Zimmerman, Diaz-Infante, Neyland, Brian Habib, Tony Jones, those guys, they don't get to come out and take some time off. Well, Tony Jones is out, but most of the guys don't get to take time off on the sideline because you only have 7 linemen, and 5 of them have to play.
Personal foul, illegal crackback on number 80 offense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
So Smith called for the penalty.
Now, he should know better than that. What is, and these receivers block a lot. And you can tell by the number of yards they gain running the football. Their job is to get down, get on the safety. But if you're outside of that box where the tight ends line up, you cannot come in and go below the waist for your block. You have to stay up high. And if that guy's within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, you cannot chop it. And sometimes guys don't count 5 yards correctly. They go for that chop block.
Well, they counted them that time. At least the officials did. And the penalty. Krister kicks it out. That's about the 38. Detron Smith on the reception. And he's mauled at the 37-yard line. Second and long coming up. We're under 5 minutes remaining. Still only the third quarter. The Broncos led this one 24-3 at halftime. Came out and scored right away quickly with a Elway to Shannon Sharp 68-yard connection. And that seemed to take what little life was left in the Chargers out of them. Second and 15. Krister complete, Lavelle, and hit right at the 35. Lou Bush again there. You know, even though it is against a Charger team that is struggling, this is a good confidence game for Denver. I mean, you lose 2 in a row. I don't care who it's to or who you're playing. It gives a little confidence back for them, and you need that heading into a big, very emotional game next week against Jacksonville.
And it makes the work week a lot easier because they've had a short week coming off of a Monday night game. They will have another short week next week, but now at least they don't have to travel. They'll be in Monday morning getting ready for Jacksonville.
Krister throws it through the hands of McCaffrey, and 4th down coming up.
See, that was the same pass that Bubby threw me that I caught.
Here we go. Do we have any tape on this?
You know, you see the footage, and it would look like slow motion, but it was in real speed, actually. And, you know, I talked earlier about McCaffrey never having missed the ball, but, I mean, that one had some heat on it. It was above his head. And, you know, he's looking around to make sure he doesn't get popped.
Krister stays out there. They're going to go for it. Jason Elam ran out to the field after the incompletion. Then they brought him back. So on 4th and 12, Krister stays out there. And now has to call timeout. Second timeout for Bubby called here in the third quarter. They'll go for it on 4th and 12, leading 31-3. Mike Shanahan had a difficult week. The Romanowski incident, the injury to Terrell Davis, and most importantly to Shanahan, the way they lost to San Francisco.
But I think Mike Shanahan hit it on the head when he talked to us. He said that the key is to communicate about this. And granted, they had 2 team meetings, not one. They had one after the incident, another one after the fallout from the fine and what the players on his own team said. And he said, you need to communicate. You just can't walk into your office, close the door, and imagine that everything will be okay. And Mike Shanahan is a guy who's really been through the fires. He coached the Los Angeles Raiders under Al Davis. Didn't really get fair treatment there. Was ousted. Had a chance to come back here and be the head coach. Instead, he took his wares to the 49ers. Gained some valuable experience here. And now he is one of the top, not only head coaches, but football men around the league.
Well, Bill gets the call on 4th and 12. And he's very close to a first down. It appears he may be just a bit short. Michael Swift finally brought him down. And San Diego will take over. Not a bad try there for the Broncos on 4th down, but when you're up 31-3, it really doesn't matter here in the third.
Teammates sponsored by the U.S. Army. Be part of our team in the Army. The Broncos have expectations mile high in Denver. Running back Terrell Davis, quarterback John Elway, and wide receiver Rod Smith are keys to the #1 offense in the NFL. With these 3 moving the ball, the Broncos are ready for the playoffs and a run at Super Bowl 32.
3.5 remaining, third quarter. Here at Mile High Stadium, along with James Lofton, Mike Green on hand. As the Broncos very impressive, especially John Elway and his receiving corps. Shannon Sharp for the touchdown catch. Smith has 2, McCaffrey 1. Elway's now out of the game. San Diego for the first down. Wheelahan's still in. Martin had it, dropped it, caught it again. Looked like he was going to lose it, but makes the reception at the 31-yard line. Right now, let's head back to New York and get an update from Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Mike, tense battle in Detroit. Lions and the Jets. The winner makes the playoffs. The loser goes home. Barry Sanders, 15 yards and a touchdown to put the Lions up 13-10 early in the fourth quarter. Barry Sanders, 36 yards shy of 2,000 for the season. Mike?
Thank you, Greg. And because of Washington and Minnesota win, that game also must now for Detroit. Bobby Ross said he wasn't going to put up the scores of those other games early. I wonder if he changed his mind for a little incentive, as we'll have a false start on San Diego. Huge game at the Silverdome.
False start, number 79, offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Marcus Price. Yet another penalty for the San Diego Chargers. It seems like a lot more than 5, though, you know?
I think they've been penalized. Things haven't been accepted. But Kevin Gilbride has his work cut out for him when this season is over, because he's going to have to take a good look at this roster and determine who he wants to keep and what they want to go after in free agency.
Craver, tackled by Neil Smith on second down.
I think one of the important things for the San Diego Chargers is the marriage between Bobby Beathard and Kevin Gilbride, and they have to be on the same page. There may be a guy that Bobby Beathard, I don't think he can play. And Gilbride may say, yeah, but, I really need him. I'm going to use him in this regard. And the coaches have to fight for players they want when they have a general manager who's calling all the shots.
And it's a tough situation as Wheelahan goes back to throw. Complete across the middle of Metcalf. And Metcalf has a first down up to the 48. Bill Romanowski on the tackle. Under 2 minutes remaining here in the third.
The more I watch Eric Metcalf, the more it makes me wonder why at Cleveland and now again in San Diego, why he is not an every down player. I see him walking off the field. I don't think they have a better offensive player than Eric Metcalf. Maybe I'm not at practice every day. Maybe I don't detail his habits. But, you saw what he could do when he was with the Atlanta Falcons.
He gets the first down. Kenny Bynum gets the call there that goes nowhere. You're wondering why in a 31-3 game, the crowd is going nuts here at Mile High. They've been doing the wave for about the past 5 minutes, trying to keep themselves warm.
And I think they are also warming up for next week's game. And they want to reward this Bronco team with giving them another game. And a game that they've been waiting for an entire calendar year. I mean, Jacksonville came in here. You heard Muhammad Ali, we shocked the world. Jaguars shocked the Metroplex or whatever it's called up here.
Wheelahan on second down to Bynum. And Bynum knocked out of bounds by Tyrone Braxton. Final minute here in the third. I actually have to say, this is the first time I've been to a game at Mile High Stadium. I've always heard about it. My first fortunate to do a game here, and it is everything everyone told me it was going to be. Just a great, great atmosphere with some wonderful fans.
And it's one of those stadiums where the floor of the field shakes because of all the metal fixtures and seats. When these people do their feet like they're doing right now, you can feel it on the playing field.
Wheelahan nearly picked off by Braxton, intended for Metcalf, and fourth down now for San Diego. Braxton, who already has 4 interceptions this season, nearly had his 5th. Tell you what, no one's left, and they're as vocal as they were in the first half. Bennett back on. Bennett, in what's been an awful day for the Chargers, has been terrific. Gordon hasn't had a lot of opportunity to return. Had the fair catch because of Bennett's superb punting.
I mean, a lot of guys have the distance. Bennett has more hang time.
catch at the 10. Bennett does his job. And that will end 3 quarters from Denver. Broncos dominating the Chargers 31-3. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Is presented by the authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the NFL is prohibited.
Shannon Sharp and some of his teammates getting some rest in the 4th quarter. As the Broncos blowing things open in the 2nd quarter of this one. They lead 31-3. They take over at their own 10. Bubby Brister on the play fake. Brister, incomplete. McCaffrey, the intended receiver. But some good coverage.
You know, you might think you're sitting there on your sofa, you know, why are they passing the ball? You cannot run the ball for an entire quarter. What you do, you just allow your backs, maybe take target practice at those guys, and continue to run your offense. You mix things up. It's not like you're trying to rub it in, but this is what the Broncos do.
And certainly, as we mentioned, you don't want to think about an Elway injury, but you've got to give Brister some work just in case something like that happens. Backup quarterback so important in the NFL. Lavelle gets the carry. Ferrell slowed him up as they get up to the 14-yard line. So 3rd and 6 coming up. Lavelle coming in as Cameron did his work. The Broncos comfortably in front. And then I think the coaching staff has to be very pleased with Hebron's work and feeling good that if, you know, Davis is expected to play next week against Jacksonville, he wanted to play today. But he gained a little confidence in Hebron for the way he played. Brister, complete. Rod Smith. Shaw knocks him out of bounds, but a first down up at the 28-yard line as Rod Smith makes his 4th catch.
And Rod Smith is the guy who has battled back from 2 ball games where he was not as productive as he had been earlier in the season. He's catching the ball well in his hands, and you want to get that rhythm back. And he's feeling it. He has 2 touchdowns already, and he's confident. Next week will be a good week of practice, and he won't have those question marks. And the other guys on the team won't look at you with that funny look like you got something on your chin.
They're very supportive as Lavelle gets the pitch. And Lavelle brings Michael Dumas for about a 3 or 4 yard run up to the 35. You know, they're very supportive because he was extremely, talking about Rod Smith, extremely hard on himself. And his teammates trying to say, don't worry, it happens to the best of them. And I'm sure in your career, you'd have stretches. I mean, is there anything you can do to get out of it?
Well, you know, he went through a 2-game stretch. I went through a couple of seasons where I didn't catch the ball as well as what I would have liked to.
Now, you're being humble, but how do you get out of a slump?
You know, you can work on it. But at some point, you just have to forget about it and relax. And Mike Shannon said you relax a little, but you don't get to the point where you're just goofy about other things. And when I watch Rod Smith away from the football, he's doing all the small details. He's taking the correct split. He's coming down the block when guys are running. So he's not just thinking about himself. And he even had the heads-up play on the sideline where he's listening to the coach. And they wanted to call timeout, and he's the guy that calls timeout.
Comes off the field now as Lavelle had the first down up just shy of the 40-yard line. Willie Green back in. 31-3. Denver dominating here still early in the 4th quarter. Handoff and Smith with a nice power run up to the 50. Another first down at midfield. Bitron Smith, second-year running back out of Texas A&M.
You know, you really have to start thinking about their opponent and who they're going to play next week. I mean, they've been at home all week. The Broncos have. You know, they went through the storm over what happened on Monday night. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have flown from their comfortable place in Jacksonville all the way to Oakland. They're going to beat the Raiders today. They're going to fly back to Jacksonville, a long trip. And then they have to come out here on Thursday of next week for a Saturday game.
Brister to Lavelle, who was quickly hit after a yard pickup. Now, some teams, you know, you think ahead. Any chance Jacksonville that they stay out on the West Coast?
I think they want to use their own facility, things that are very familiar to them. guys enjoy sleeping in their own bed. You know, no matter, you know, it's not like they're a cold weather team and they're trying to escape the weather. They're going to go back to Jacksonville, get good work in, and then they'll come up here. And they also don't want to be away from all the positive influences. You know, reading good things about themselves in the newspaper, doing their weekly shows and all that. Because there's a lot that goes into being a professional football player nowadays.
Let's not forget it's a Saturday game, so it's an extra day shy. As Dwayne Carswell couldn't hold on in the 3rd and 9 coming up. Of course, it's going to be a very emotional game for the Broncos because the last playoff game at Mile High Stadium is the one that they want to forget. Undefeated at home all season and heavily favored Broncos lose. Atron Means had a big game. Mark Brunell with this pass to Keenan McCardle, what Broncos fans certainly remember. And then Denver fans know Brunell to Jimmy Smith. 30-27, just a devastating loss for John Elway and the entire Bronco team. As Brister throws and a flag comes in, it will be pass interference on Terrence Shaw as Willie Green got bumped. Markwright showing a bit of a limp.
Now, when I watch those clips from last year and watch the guys getting burned for touchdowns, one Lionel Washington, he's gone. The other one, Torrey James, he's on injured reserve. So you're lining up guys who are different. And last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars were, even though they had a good season, they got in on a miracle. Morton Anderson misses the field goal. And so they're not a team that everyone has heard about. They made their name in the playoffs. They went to Buffalo. They beat the Bills. They beat Denver here. So they made their names on the road. They became household names last year. They won't catch the Broncos by surprise this year.
Certainly not. As you mentioned, they've been waiting a whole year. The players, the coaches, the fans. Lavelle with a nice run inside the 35 down to the 33. Torrey James makes the tackle. What's he got in his ear? What's he listening to?
Those ear things so that they can figure out the calls that are going in to the quarterback. That's Elway in the orange hat. And Jeff Lewis, his heir apparent. If Elway ever retires, you know, after 25 years of football, Jeff Lewis will be the guy. They got him out of northern Arizona last year. And in the preseason, he just lit up Mike Shanahan's eyes. He said, this guy can really play football. He racked up some impressive numbers. They play in a little mini dome down there. Racked up some impressive numbers in college, but he's been super in the preseason.
And not a bad guy to learn from. As Lavelle trying to get the first down, a little bit of a leap.
And, you know, you mentioned that Bubby Brister had been the 3rd quarterback until recently. And Shanahan acknowledged, he said, you know, Bubby Brister would be the guy put in for a long stretch. You know, if John went down, unfortunately, early in the ballgame, I'd put Bubby in because he's had playoff snaps. He's had game snaps. You know, Jeff Lewis, we needed to win a ballgame in the 4th quarter. He might be the guy that I would go with.
Brister played some playoff games with the Steelers back in '89, a couple of starts. Another first down as Lavelle doing some nice things on the drive. Smith quickly thrown backwards. Torrey James, another tackle.
I mean, we talked about it. Lavelle, 10 carries, 46 yards. The tough thing now is when the Chargers line up 8, 9 guys around the line of scrimmage, it's so tempting for the quarterback, Bubby Brister, to call that audible. You know, to send those receivers on the quick fade route. But he's been instructed, keep the ball on the ground and keep it very, very, very basic.
Lavelle has done some good work on special teams. And it's his first year with Denver after the 4 years with the 49ers. Brister throws complete to Carswell. And Carswell falls down at the 30. Clock continues to move. 8.5 remaining in the 4th.
And I believe that's a retaliation call. You know, they're telling the Chargers, if you're going to line up 9 guys around the line of scrimmage, we're going to throw the football. You back the guys up, and we'll run. You see Gary Kubiak, looks like a map of Colorado. That's actually the game plan. And you see all those different colors. The colors are different segments of what he wants to call on different areas of the field. The pink plays are the really nice plays. The orange plays are our highlight plays, and the blue plays are plays that make people want to go out and get a drink.
So a lot of work went into that chart. Brister complete to Lavelle. Breaks some tackles, gets down to the 22. Again, very close to another first down.
And we saw Gary Kubiak there. This has also been a transition year for Mike Shanahan. He no longer calls every play. Gary Kubiak now calls the plays, and that's tough for the head coach. You see Mike Shanahan kind of peeking over his shoulders. During the preseason, they wouldn't even stand close together because what he wanted to do was give Kubiak the freedom to call his own plays and not feel like, I'm watching, I heard that one, I didn't like that one. That was a good one. No, I didn't like that one. See the Lions still in front, Jacksonville in front. So, the matchup apparently is set for next week unless something bad happens to the Broncos in the last 7.5 minutes here.
2 inches shy of the first down. Of course, the crowd screaming to go. Brister waiting for the official word. They will go for it. So 4th down and a couple of inches. Anthony Lynn has come into the game. Brister tries it himself. First down. Mark Bright makes it official. It has been all Broncos since the first quarter. Denver came out a little slow. Chargers got on the board first. They had a field goal, led 3-0 after the first quarter. But then the starting quarterback, Mr. Elway, erupted, throwing 3 touchdown passes in that second quarter. Broncos went up 24-3, were in control at halftime, and they scored on their first possession of the third quarter. Elway and Shannon Sharp hooking up. Game over right there.
Now, see, you're of the opinion that they're listening to some music with those headphones, right?
Bell keeps going. Down to the 13.
Crazy.
Well, he's popping his head.
Yeah, they're listening. They're watching that commercial. It goes duh duh duh.
But they're enjoying life on the bench for Elway, getting to relax after again a brilliant performance. Our Miller Time game summary. Elway the story. Very sharp. The 4 touchdowns. 2 to Rod Smith. And Denver piling up the offensive yards after the offense without Terrell Davis struggled against San Francisco. Really excelled here against San Diego this afternoon at Mile High. Odell again. Gets inside the 10.
And we said it earlier, they're winning this ball game up front. Zimmerman, Diaz, Infante, Neoen, Brian Habib, Tony Jones when he was in the ball game. Now Jamie Brown is in the ball game, and he has to be their biggest liner. They don't have a lot of the 320-pound plus guys. Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak, they like the smaller, more mobile guys. Well, Jamie Brown goes about 320 before meals.
That's not small, although he's not unmobile. But that's
he is their heavyweight.
Liddell spins and turns, falls down at about the 6-yard line. 2nd and goal coming up.
And really, when you think about your right tackle, that guy is your run blocking tackle. He doesn't have to protect the quarterback's backside. The quarterback can see if that guy's beating his right tackle. Your backside tackle, Gary Zimmerman, he's going to be a little smaller, more mobile, because he has to have those quick feet where he can get that backside, that speed rusher. But the right side guy, that's where you pound the ball.
And look at this drive. We'll go over 10 minutes on this play. 18 plays. Liddell hit once, trying to get outside. Little move. Touchdown. He deserved the score after all the work he did on that drive. His first touchdown of the season.
And he got it over what I would call the Chargers' toughest player, Rodney Harrison. And Rodney has not backed away an inch. He's tried to keep his guys fired up during this losing stretch. But you can only take so much. And the wear and tear of the season, maybe in week 1 he stopped Lavelle. Maybe in week 8, but not in week 16.
Excellent effort from Lavelle. Got 68 yards rushing and the touchdown. Elam on for another extra point. And it goes through. A little scary, but it goes through nonetheless. And it's 38-3. They've got a right to salute each other this afternoon. Denver dominating all day long.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Oracle, the company that's enabling the information age through network computing. By Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service. And by Texaco, a world of energy.
Celebration today in Denver, where the Broncos able to clinch the home field for next week's game against Jacksonville. Leading 38-3, Kenny Bynum at the 2. Bynum cuts across and taken down just shy of the 30-yard line. And we'll take another timeout. Denver leading 38-3 here in the fourth. A long year for Eric Metcalf and the Chargers, who will lose their 8th in a row to end the season. Metcalf has done some nice things individually, but he told us last night doesn't mean anything. He wants to win. Wheelahan still in the game. Over the middle, Charlie Jones nearly made a nice catch, broken up by Hilliard. Still 4:17 remaining. And what has been a Denver celebration the entire second half. Crowd filing out now. They stayed most of the way. We'll get a chance to return next Saturday in a wild card game against Jacksonville. Handoff goes to Bynum. First, Gary Brown did not get a chance for 1,000 yards, suffered a groin injury, did not play in the second half, and fell short of his 1,000 yards. Bynum getting a lot of the duty today, the rookie. They took a good hard look at last couple of games. They like what they see in him. Perhaps somebody to help turn this thing around.
And I think when you look at the Denver Broncos, they accomplished just about everything that they wanted to today. Rod Smith got involved in the offense again. And on the defensive line, you know, it was a small note. Tanavasa did not play a lot today.
Really incomplete to Martin at midfield. Check that Metcalf. And Metcalf gets down to the 41-yard line. Metcalf's third reception.
You know, I was talking about guys, you know, Tanavasa not playing much. Trevor Price, number 93, he's got some extended playing time. Harold Hasselbeck, and all because, you know, Mike Shanahan decided Michael Dean Perry was not going to be able to help it. And I had to let him go.
See some licking there as Bynum gets the call. Bynum dives to the 36. Randy Hilliard helping out there. Update on the game from Detroit. Lions leading the Jets 13-10. If there is some time permitting, we'll try and send you to that game. Both those teams playing for their playoff lives. Because of Minnesota and Washington winning, Lions have to win to get into the playoffs. Jets, either way, coming into the game, they needed a victory. Unless, of course, there was a Miami-New England tie tomorrow night. Wheelahan, incomplete. Brian Still took a shot. And Darius Johnson is shaken up after the hard hit that he laid on Still.
And, you know, sometimes it's the guy who goes in to create the collision who gets hit. You lead with that head, and, you know, you hit somebody right in the back, and you can get twisted up pretty badly.
So while they attend to Johnson, we'll take a timeout. 2:21 remaining in the fourth. Darius Johnson shaken up. It appears to be okay. As San Diego, 3rd and 3 at the Denver 36-yard line. Wheelahan taken down. Harold Hasselbeck. And 4th down coming up as we approach the 2-minute warning. And let it wind down for the 2 minutes. And then no doubt they'll go for it. 2-minute warning from Mile High Stadium. Two minutes left in a long and disappointing season for Kevin Gilbride in his first year as head coach of the Chargers. They'll finish with an 8-game losing streak. but he's confident in his ability to turn it around. And they need some help, need some players. Wheelahan on a 4th and 2. Chargers, of course, will go for it. Complete to Bynum, and they stop him shy of the first down. Randy Hilliard with an excellent tackle, and Denver will take over.
You know, that's probably the final offensive play of the year for the San Diego Chargers. I think you have to go back 8 weeks when they were just 4-4. Stan Humphries went down, and their season went down the tube.
Greg Wheelahan gained some experience, but didn't get any victories in his 7 starts. 0 for 7 as the Broncos will kneel down to finish this one up. Broncos will go 8-0 at Mile High for the 2nd straight year. But they're not concerned with regular season results right now. I'm sure Mike Shanahan, the team already thinking about next week with a game against Jacksonville. That will be right here. They lost to Jacksonville last year in the playoffs on the same field. There's the 4th quarter. Lions holding on to a slim lead against the Jets. And we will send you to that game as soon as this one is finished. Both those teams need a victory to get into the playoffs. A very impressive performance for the Broncos early. John Elway, superb through the first 3 quarters. He threw 4 touchdown passes and set a career high for TD passes in a single season with 27.
And if I'm Jacksonville and I'm seeing John Elway on film, I start to sweat it out a little bit, because not only do I have to defend against the pass, but I also know that Terrell Davis is planning on coming back to play against me. So this offense is clicking on all 4 cylinders. And the defense, this is their best defensive outing of the year.
Davis felt he could have played today, but Shanahan wisely held him out. And that will do it from Mile High. Broncos very, very impressive. They finished the regular season by going undefeated at home. So Kevin Gilbride's Chargers finish up losing 8 in a row. They are 4-12 and 97 in his first year. Elway and the young Wheelahan greeting. Now on to the playoffs. That's all he cares about. Junior Seau, despite the serious knee injury, came out, played hard, had an interception. Another great year for Junior Seau, who's so disappointed in all the losses for the Chargers this year. Wheelahan gaining his experience, but as we mentioned, finishes 0-7 as a starter. Our final score, Denver 38, San Diego 3. For James Lofton and our entire crew, that's it from Denver. Now to